Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome, everyone, to Season 19 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics right here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the commentary booth, as always, is Larry McLeod. And, of course, we've got Dennis Branch and now Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production truck, bringing you all the best camera angles and action that Apex Racing TV is known for. With our opening rounds bringing these MX-5 racers to first South and then North America, we now head to the old country, where you might just stay a while. Tonight we bring you rounds 3 and 4 from one of the oldest circuits in the UK and a frequent host of the British Grand Prix. No, we haven't set up shop at Silverstone. Instead, we're heading to a facility that turns 95 this year and started as a grass track for both motorcycles and bicycles, but it's seen race cars race there since 1950. Tonight, rounds 3 and 4 of the Classic Sprint Series play out at Brands Hatch in its 2.4-mile, 9-turn Grand Prix circuit. So first off, welcome, Larry.
Hey, well, thank you for the welcome, Greg, and I'm just thrilled to be watching another race here at Brands Hatch, one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah, it should be a great place to watch racing from, Larry. And of course, after 2 rounds, we've got some definite rivalries starting to show themselves here in the Classic Sprint Series, and some of our expected favorites are kind of on the back foot after some early race incidents. But as we move from our longer format races to 2 points-paying 30-minute sprints tonight, Brands Hatch just might be that equalizer that they're looking for.
Yeah, and I think the sprint format's going to be interesting tonight. We saw this, a couple weeks back. We kind of got to, in the Lambeau series, we got to see how this kind of works with the front of the field suddenly finding themselves the back for the second race and having to work their way through. I think Brands Hatch has plenty of passing zones to do that. It's going to be an interesting fight. So anybody who's gotten off to a rough start in the season is going to get not 1 but 2 chances tonight to score some points.
That's right. So the format tonight, of course, we're going to have our 15-minute qualifying, single car qualifying here this evening, and then we're going to have a 30-minute sprint to the checkers. So no pit stops like we've seen in rounds 1 and 2 of the Classic Sprint Series. But once that race is complete, and by the way, that race will pay points for the series. But after that race is complete, we will then invert the top 10 finishers and take another 30-minute stab here at Brands Hatch. So it should be a pretty exciting race. And, Larry, in discussing Brands Hatch just a little bit, it was funny. It was just, getting ready for this race. I was watching a couple videos from a couple of well-known racers. And, the one thing that they said over and over again is how busy you are here at Brands. Now, for a 2.4 mile track that only has 9 turns, it doesn't sound like a lot, but because of the undulations in the track and a lot of areas where this track is very, very bumpy, and has some very distinct camber changes at certain places of the track that can really unsettle a car. That you find your hands are moving even when you don't have a turn approaching. Again, it should be a good challenge for these MX5 racers here this evening.
It really does. And in fact, like you say, it's only 9 turns, but there's a lot of elevation change here. Yes. When drivers talk about it being busy, it's when you get to the far end stretch further away from the main start finish line, and you've got these series of very high speed right-handers that just every one of them's different and they're fast. They're blind. But this is a seriously fun track to drive. And I think in a car like the Miata, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this, because I think there's going to be some serious side-by-side racing around this place. And it's treacherous, so you might find somebody who's doing well for part of the race suddenly putting a tire off and finding themselves quickly at the back. So this is a place where you could throw away a lot of good points if you're not careful.
Yeah, it certainly is, Larry. And as we watch, as we take some different views around this track, you can see how close the Armco is. Definitely something that these drivers will have to worry about. So why don't we do this? We've talked a little bit about the track. Why don't we hand things over to our good friend Kevin Ford? He's going to get behind the wheel of one of these MX5 cars, and he's going to give you tonight's track guide of Brands Hatch.
Welcome, everyone, to the beautiful Brands Hatch GP circuit located here in Kent, England. Great to have you with us, as we've got beautiful, partly cloudy skies today for your track guide around this 2.43-mile road course. It is a busy one around this place. Let's get ready to head down the front straightaway here as we notice our grandstands to the left, our pit area to the right, and, of course, throughout the course, you'll see all the fans sitting up on the grassy hillside. Coming into turn 1 here, this is quite a drop-off as we head down through Paddock Hill Bend. Get that nice big launch of speed to come up into this heavy braking zone of Druids, the hairpin here at Brands Hatch. Out of Druids, we'll head down into turn 3 here. This is a very tight left-hander, a little bit blind on entry, but you can get some good track out off of that corner. We'll stay wide right here as we set up our entrance into Surtees, one of my favorite corners here. You get this one right, boy, you can sure feel it as you come up off the launch, up over the hill, and out onto Hawthorne Hill straightaway. One of the fastest sections of the course here. A lot of overtaking opportunities coming down into this corner here of Hawthorne Bend. Just a slight brush of the brakes will let that car rotate to apex, get right back to throttle, Again, tracking out left. We'll stay wide left here as we head into Dingledale. Just a brush of the brakes, right back to throttle. Again, we've got a lot of room to track out there. Then this gets into the very tricky blind section. Very fast area coming here in to turn 7. Take a little bit of curb there. We'll set up our entry into turn 8. Make this left-hander here. Another blind entry. Get a good launch out of this one. We do have a short little straightaway here that takes us down to Clark Curve, the final corner here. Just a slight brush of the brakes. Let that car rotate over the hill. Come back to throttle. Get as much speed as you can as we come out of the final turn and down the front straightaway here. There is your track guide for the beautiful Brands Hatch GP circuit. Thank you for being with us.
All right, and we want to thank Kevin Ford for our track guide tonight here at Brands Hatch. And as we now have qualifying underway, again, this is a 15-minute single-car qualifying. Each driver, when they go out on track, they pretty much see the track as if they are all alone. And we're tracking Rachel Williams in the Shibkey number 777 entry currently. I was just talking as we were watching Kevin make his lap, that she was the fastest driver in the open class in practice. She was not here, but she was not at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for round 2 last week. She had a business engagement that she had to attend to, but she is back out on track, and we'll see how she does. So let's fill everybody in, including Rachel, on how things turned out a week, not last week, but about 3 weeks ago at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And we'll start off with the open class, where Brennan Horan had a great run. There he is in the number 45 machine. He took the win with Edgar Sancinelli in the number 57 Frito Sport entry, finishing second. And then Steve Daniel, who was our round 1 winner, took the third step on the podium. And after 2 rounds in the open class, Steve Daniel manages to hold on to the lead with 48 points. That gives him a single-point advantage over Brennan Horan, with Nick Parsono in his NAP Motorsports entry currently running 3rd with 42, but it is very close, as Greg Brockway and Dean Dibdahl are really both within shooting distance. So let's jump over now to the pro class, where Robert Hartley took the win. Had a pretty darn tight battle there going on with Mike Dam, as well as John Allen, but John Allen ran out of fuel, I believe, on the very last lap, ended up dropping all the way back down to 8th. So Hartley took the win in his Orion Racing machine. Mike Dam finished second in his Orion Racing Mazda MX-5, and rounding out the trifecta for Orion Racing, Travis Schwenke came in 3rd. And so if we take a look at the points after 2 rounds, Robert Hartley is your current leader, with Clint Figus running in second in his Meh Motorsports entry, the number 71 machine, and then David Payton in the D2D E-Racing entry, the number 64 car, currently running in 3rd. And right now, Hartley with 2 wins in the series now, with a huge advantage. Now almost, it looks like 19 points over Vigas, but things are very close right behind. Only 2 points separating Vigas and Payton. Another 3 back to Jeff Jacobs, and another 3 back to Mike Dam and John Allen, who are currently tied for 5th. All right, so with that being said, let's take a quick look here, and as our cars now are starting to make their first flying laps. Actually, some of the drivers have put in 2 flying laps already. We're on board right now with Travis Schwenke. Schwenke in the number 16 machine. He is currently your fastest driver on track with a fast lap of a 139.14. That is about 0.3 of a second over Tom Rathke, but Rathke just crossed the stripe, and he is now your provisional pulser, turning in a 139.07. Both of those drivers have turned 2 flying laps, as Schwenke just now returns the favor, turns in a 138.89. Randall McGrew in number 67 machine. He is currently your 3rd fastest driver, and he is not all that far back with a 139.17. If we take a look at the open class, Rachel Williams in that 777 Shibkey machine, she is currently your fastest driver on track. She's turned in 2 flying laps already. She's put in a 139.09. 1:09.8. That is a astounding 0.02 of a second faster than Brennan Horan, last round's winner in the number 45 machine, in the D2D iRacing machine. And then we've got Nick Parsono in his number 79 entry at a 1:40.15. So right now, 0.17 of a second separating our top three drivers. Edgar Sanchinelli another 0.2 back from there. So very tight running here at Brands Hatch in qualifying, as we have quite a bit of qualifying time here remaining. We've got we're about 7 minutes into this 15-minute session. Again, each of our drivers can take up to 4 flying laps, and at this point the majority of our drivers have 2 in the books, and many of them are working on lap 3 right now. So, Larry, any big surprises that you have so far in qualifying here?
Well, I think I'm watching Greg Mack and Mike Dammit. Both these guys could use a really strong finish tonight. Starting near, right now, halfway through qualifying, they're up in that, second and third rows. I think Mike Dam would probably like to be up closer to the front row, but right now, Schwenke is just flying. Every lap he throws down is faster than the next, and he wants that pole position in a bad way. This track, because these Miatas, they draft pretty well. As soon as they get out of that section, that back stretch behind the main pit straight tower, and they start heading away from that long straightaway is going to give opportunities for passing. So even if drivers like Mike Dam start in the third row, or right now he's looking like he's outside of row 3, he'll have opportunities to move up. Just don't want to get caught in any sort of tangle as they start heading to those fast right-handers I was talking about, because when that happens, it takes your race out, and now you're not going to score any points in one of the races. Now, you might be okay for the second race, but someone like Mike Dam would really like to lay one down here and probably score well in both of these races. As we continue to watch, as Greg Mack now jumps up to his own 38.8, just a touch behind Schwenke's times.
Yeah, so things are starting to close down just a little bit there at the top of the pro field. As you mentioned, Greg Mack on his third flying lap turns in a 1:38.85, and so that is just about 1/1800 of a second back from Schwenke. As we'll see here, a little bit of a surprise right now that Mitchell Peak in the number 56 machine is sitting a little bit further back in that pro class, currently running 6th overall with a fast lap of a 1:39.61. Now, that sounds like it's so far off the pace, but Peak right now is he's only about 9/10, I think, off of our pole sitter right now.
I'm sure he'd like to be up there though with the pro class and not be having Williams and Horan kind of in between, having the open class in there. So for Peak, he definitely would like to get a little bit closer to some of those folks at the front, as Schwenke has just been flying, and now John Allen finally gets time in. Yeah,
John Allen has now made his way up in that number 101 machine into provisionally running second with a 1:38.81. So not very far off of Schwenke's times currently. And I think we had Greg Mack on camera a few moments ago. He is currently running third right now in his number 2 entry with a 1:38.85. So again, things very, very tight there. Now, John Allen, he's had a lot of strife in rounds 1 and 2. He's been up towards the front of the field, as we mentioned. He ran out of fuel on the very last lap and had to pretty much creep across the line, lost a number of positions at Gilles Villeneuve in round 1. He had some issues with pit lane exit. I'm sure he's looking for a much cleaner race this evening, as we're on board right now with Dean Dibdahl in the number 19 machine. Dean, all of 14 years old, and last round in the open class, Dean finished in 5th position, but I believe it had the car up in the lead. It actually led a couple of laps, had some issues. My understanding is he also had some fuel issues towards the very end of the race, which affected him and dropped him a couple positions back, but I believe he was running second going into the final lap in the open class, and he had a very good run at Interlagos as well. So we'll see how he does here. As we know, Dean now is getting some practice in real Mazda MX-5s or Mazda Miatas. He's been putting in a lot of track time down in Sebring the last couple of months trying to get ready to race in Spec Miata next year. So I'm sure his practice, although his practice at Brands Hatch probably isn't helping him all that much, iRacing has certainly helped him out for this karting phenom, and he's certainly very strong. Not only here in the Classic Sprint Series, but in other
it's great
series
seat
as well.
time. In between your seat time, it's great further seat time. But I don't think Brands Hatch is much of a Sebring type of track. It's got a few more elevation changes than the 6 feet elevation range that Sebring has.
Yeah, exactly.
But still, yeah, he's coming along well. It's really fascinating to kind of watch that here in the sim world, and then seeing what someone like him is doing in the IRL or in real life world. It's really neat.
Yeah, so Larry, as we're now about 3 minutes remaining here in qualifying with John Allen, now your fastest driver in the pro class at a 1:38.28, so almost 0.4 of a second up on Travis Schwenke. Mitchell Peak, who you're a little concerned for after 2 flying laps. Peak now is your 3rd fastest driver, and not all that far back from Schwenke and John Allen. Greg Mack, 4th fastest. As we watch these drivers make their way around the course here, and you can see the slip angles that a lot of them carry. It's very deceiving. A good portion of the corners here are very, very late apex corners. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, some of them are blind, but there is, in some cases, the tendency to maybe over brake for some of these corners, and in doing so, you'll find that the cars will understeer quite a bit. And I think, in particular, going into clearways, the very last corner here at Brands Hatch, bringing you back onto the front straight, is one of those. There's a huge gravel trap sitting to the outside there, and for very good reason. Not uncommon to see drivers just push the car a little bit, maybe push the brake pedal a little bit too hard, and just wash out going through the corner there in trying to set things up.
That lap, at the end of the lap, as you approach that last corner, is so difficult to get it right, because the way that the camber is on the pavement, the elevation change, and just the angle. It's a wide radius, but the way you have to dive in on it to get it right without pushing all the way to the gravel trap is just so critical. And the other one, you talk about crazy things here. You got the front straight, also known as the Bradman straight. You've got turn 1 essentially is a blind plummeting downhill, right. And one of those spots where you've got to hit it right. As the bottom of that hill, the car just sort of settles and bottoms out. You've got to not lose your alignment, not lose your momentum at the bottom of the hill, because you still got to make it all the way up the hill, Woods Hill, into turn 2, the Druids turn. Yeah,
matter of fact, I was racing here in a Formula V just the other night, and it is very disconcerting to feel the front end of that car as you hit that compression at the very bottom of the hill, and the track kind of it's not flat there. It leans out just a little bit. It really ends up jerking the steering wheel quite a bit, and you have to be prepared not to overreact to that, and just set up as you make your way back down the hill and get set up for Druids.
Yeah, the MX-5s are pretty good through there, but so anything like Formula Car around this place, there's a certain spot you don't want to hit at the bottom of that hill after turn 1. If you hit it wrong, it's just going to instantly bottom the car onto the ground and loop it. Now, at least the MX-5 is not going to bottom the car, but you certainly will compress the suspension. It will do crazy things to you and may ruin your day very quickly. Certainly, as a turn 1 could be interesting here in this race tonight with these cars, and someone's going to be on a bad line going through that corner.
All right, so as we have just, now we have no time left on the clock here in qualifying, and all of our drivers have turned in their 4 flying laps. Let's get ready, Larry. We're going to run down the order here in just a minute, but big surprise. We were watching Rachel Williams really with mastery over the rest of the open class, and then Brennan Horan turns in a flyer, which was just absolutely insane, about a half a second faster, I think, than Rachel Williams. So let's go run down the starting grid here. Larry, are you okay to do that? Or
we are good to go. Yep. So on our pole tonight in the Defined Auto Works vehicle, we've got John Allen. On the outside of row 1, it's going to be the Orion Racing Travis Schwenke. Very quick tonight. Row 2 on the inside from Esports Racer. A couple of teammates here on the inside is going to be Mitchell Peak, and on his outside, the teammate Greg Mack. On the inside of row 3, we've got our first of our open class competitors, also an Esports Racer team, is Brennan Horan. On the outside, the Granite State Racing entry, Tom Rathke. On row 4, Genesis Sim Sports driver Randall McGrew. On the outside, Sibski Racing. I'm going to get that right tonight. Shipkey Racing, Rachel Williams. Rachel, I promise I'm going to get that right tonight. I'm just not going to look at it. Makes it easier. All right, row 5 on the inside from Orion Racing, Mike Dam. On his outside, NAP Motorsports, Nick Parsono. Row 6 on the inside, D2D Esports, Bobby Childs. And along the outside of him is going to be Edgar Sancinelli from Frito Sport Racing. On row 7 on the inside, SKKJ Racing's Steve Daniel. He'll be lined up alongside Greg Brockway from Esport Racer. On row 6, we were just talking about him from Dibdall Racing, Dean Dibdall. He'll be lined up with Frito Sport Racing driver Mike Taylor. On row 17, we got Frito Sport Racing also with Michael Key. And then on the outside of row 9, we've got Robert Briss from RFC Racing. Row 10 will be John Casey from the 046 Racing, and alongside him, another Frito Sport Racing driver, Patrick Prevenus.
All right, so there you go. And Larry, they are going to be led around for their pace lap by that beautiful Ford Mustang pace car, maybe a little bit out of place here in the UK.
I can say the UK people love their Mustangs. They were so happy when Ford finally made one in a right-hand drive. It is really a car enthusiast vehicle, even in the UK. Maybe surprising that they love them.
And this might be one road that's wide enough for that vehicle. All right, as they start their pace lap. And as we usually do here, we should mention that the start is not your typical iRacing start. The start is actually controlled by the pole sitter, and when John Allen comes around the final corner, when he comes around clearways, we are going to have a start zone. That start zone begins right at the pit entry and ends, of course, right at the start-finish line. And so when John Allen starts accelerating, if he starts to pick up the pace in that start zone, our stewards, they will alert all the drivers that the green flag is in the air and racing has begun. If John decides to hold off and wait until he gets to the start-finish line, that's when the racing is going to begin. And again, all of our drivers will get that green flag notification from the stewards. So, of course, we will be interested to see how John plays this. The last 2 rounds, our pole sitters have had a pretty good advantage going down into, well, in the last 2 tracks, into the Senna S's. No Senna S's here. And so as our drivers make their way around on their pace laps, I mentioned in the opening, we're going to be in the UK for a while. We have, of course, tonight's rounds 3 and 4 at Brands Hatch. Well, we're then actually leaving the UK. We're going to be going to the Hockenheim ring for round 5. We're going to go back to a single 60-minute race. That is going to be on August 16th. And then we come back to the UK where we've got rounds 6 and 7 at the end of August at Donington Park. Then we go to Alton Park in September, and then we round everything out at Imola. So it should be a great season. Remainder of the season here in the Classic Sprint Series as our drivers take to a number of tracks that perhaps they have not had a lot of experience on coming into each round here in the Classic Sprint Series.
Experience certainly pays off, and with John Allen here, very experienced driver in these cars, experienced being on pole, and we'll see if that all pays off here as they come down this straightaway one time here to take the green flag.
All right, and they are in that start zone, and they are still lined up, and it looks like John Allen now on the throttle, and he is away, and he's got a little bit of an advantage right now over Travis Schwenke on the outside of the front row. He's got Greg Mack in that number 2 machine right behind, and Greg Mack looks like he might be able to sneak past Schwenke as they come down through the paddock bend and make their way down into that hairpin, going down into Druids, and as they come around, they're going to stay nice and close to the apex as they wrap around to the outside. It looks like still a little bit of 2x2 action with Rathje and McGrew side by side. Rachel Williams has made up a couple of positions now to get closer to Brennan Horan as they come now down into Graham Hill Bend, and then start to make their way up the hill.
Making their way around Surtees and around that Pilgrim's Drop straightaway. This is the longest straightaway on the track. Plenty of opportunities for overtaking here if you can be on someone's tail coming up that uphill bend there in Surtees. Single file, though, is highly recommended as we go around Hawthorns, the Derek Minter straight into the Dingle Dell. You definitely want to be as single file as you can get. Not a lot of room for error here. You can see how blind that is, how it just drops off past the apex. Beautiful shots here, coming around the bend here, looking at the Sheen curve. Really a little bit tighter than the other ones as they plummet down the hill to Sterling's. And now we get one more chance for passing if you can draft all the way up to Clearways and take it too wide around the Clark curve. That'll be your other great passing zone here as we enter back onto the Brabham Straight.
Yeah, typically you don't see great passing zones coming onto straightaways, but here at Brands Hatch, definitely not the case, as we have Travis Schwenke now side by side with with Mitchell Peak as they come onto the front straight here onto the Brabham Straight and get set up for the Paddock Hill Bend for the second time as we complete lap 1. Now you may have seen pop up on the screen, we've got the stewards taking a look at an incident that happened a little bit further back in the pack. Steve Daniel, who is our points leader in the open class, he and Edgar Sancinelli got together, the 96 car and the 57 car, and so we'll have to see what the decision is there as we go back to the front of the field here. And let's see, I think we're going to have a replay of that incident as we see them coming down into turn 1, and there you go. You can see where Daniel just got right into the back of Sancinelli's Frito Sport Racer machine, and they went around going into Paddock Hill for the very first lap. As we jump back over to the lead now, and John Allen, he's opened up a little bit of a gap right now over Schwenke and Mitchell Peak.
He had a gap just around 1 second, and he was hoping that maybe Schwenke and Peak and Mac behind him would fight a little harder to give him a little bit more gap, but that gap started to close there a little bit. But as they go through these nearly 90-degree right-handers, as we come up to the Sheen curve, these are really great places to try and extend because they're so precise to hit them fast. If you hit them wrong, you lose so much time. But right now, they're keeping it close to Allen, not quite letting him get away.
All right, as you can see there, the stewards have decided to take no action after that incident between Daniel and Sancinelli. Now, Larry, as we watch our first pack here make their way through, you'll notice something very similar to what we saw at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve a couple weeks ago, and that's Brennan Horan locked in with that first group and with a number of the Pro Class drivers getting dragged along as he sits right back behind Randall McGrew. And Rachel Williams, she is in that second pack. She's leading that second pack. She's quite a bit back. Oh, as we have an incident here with McGrew, with Greg Mack getting into it with a 41 machine getting into it as well. And so big pile up here. And looks like a lot of those drivers now are going to have to take to the pit lane.
Full course yellow. Haven't had one of those in a couple of weeks, but consider the scale of that contact probably a good idea. So John Allen having to slow things down a little bit, gather the pack back up, and I'm sure some of these cars are probably damaged beyond repair, or at least going to make an attempt. They're going to be getting their way to the pits. Try to take
so that number 41 car, that was Tom Rathje, and Tom has been in a second lap incident now 2 races in a row. He was in that pileup with Jordy Fike and Chris Thorman a couple weeks ago at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve that pretty much ended all 3 of those drivers' days. There you go. So we watched that here as I believe, Larry, let's take another look here as they come down. Oh, a little bit of a tap from Rathje, and then as they come through, yeah, I don't know what to tell you there, Larry. It looked like McGrew thought he might be able to sneak under the inside of Greg Mack and just could not get it done, and just kind of ran out of room there. Came up with that late lunge all the way to the inside. I don't know if Greg Mack would have even been able to see that he was there as far to the inside as he was.
And that's tough. It's one of those spots where you've got to be all the way to the inside. If you're just up on somebody's rear tire, they're not going to see you, and they're going to turn in, and it's just going to go bad. But you really do have to be all the way up there. This means basically they've got to take a bad line through one, and you've got to take the best line. Otherwise, it's just never going to stick.
All right, as John Allen now leads the field down the hill, going down into Graham Hill. And this is an interesting corner that they're coming up to, and now that they're under full course caution here and taking it a little slower. To watch them go into Surtees, it is such a late apex there that they don't actually get to the apex right until you see that white line coming across the track. And obviously key to carry a lot of speed through that corner, get on the throttle as early as you can, because you do have this very long straightaway here, the longest straightaway on the course. But definitely it's one of those things where you just have to kind of wait and wait and wait before you get to the apex there, as it really is the case for a lot of the corners here.
Yeah, definitely need to, in some places, got to be patient with those exits. You got to nail them, but there's some places they're just carrying so much speed around here.
John Allen continues to lead the field around. We haven't gotten word of when we're going to go back to green flag racing, but I think it's going to be very soon. As I've been watching, Schwenke and Peak had really been maintaining a fairly large gap back to John Allen. I'm sure they're going to want to close things down quite a bit as they get back. And as we go back here, I believe, let's see here, Larry, I think we have another lap under caution. It doesn't look like the drivers have picked up the pace here.
Not quite yet. I'm waiting for an order change. It sounds like I can hear the stewards giving some instructions to the drivers here as they are adjusting things and getting the right sequence here as it went at the point probably back where the yellow was thrown. Make sure everybody's in the right order before we go green.
As we're now 9 minutes, or pardon me, 8 minutes into this 30-minute battle. Again, reminder to everybody, please stick around. We're going to have another 30-minute sprint race after this one is complete. And of course, if you like what you see, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to Apex Racing TV's YouTube channel so you can find out about all the great racing events going on around the world, all the great virtual racing events around the world, and of course hit that notification bell so you find out when they pop up. And you can also subscribe to to Apex's social media channels, both Twitter, Instagram, as well as Facebook, by searching for Apex Racing TV, all one word. All right, so John Allen is bringing the field around here as they're getting set up, coming back up, and I think that's here with just a couple corners remaining. And hopefully we'll be going back to green flag racing this next time by.
All right, so final instructions on how to take the restart here coming, and this is going to be a tight pack, just like the start, except they won't quite be 2x2, but I suspect by the time we get all the way into Druids, we might be seeing some attempted passing, certainly in the middle of the pack, because everyone's going to get aggressive here about a third of the way through our first sprint.
Yeah, all right, as they come through clearways now, the final corner onto the front straight, and again, a little bit of a gap from Allen back to Schwenke as Schwenke now closes things up, and it looks like Schwenke already pointing the car to the inside, try to get underneath John Allen as they make the run up to Paddock Bend. But no changes there. Oh, looks like Greg Mack making his way back to the field, gets around Robert Brist. Nick Parsono, though, has an issue. Looks like Parsono dropped about 5 positions coming out of the final corner. We'll have to see what happened there, if he got a tap or not. Bobby Childs had a real good restart. Bobby Childs now moves up to 5th position overall. There he is in the number 88 machine, as John Allen leads Schwenke, Peak, Horan, and Brendan Horan now moving up into 4th position overall. He is our open class leader. Is definitely taking advantage, having made his way around Bobby Childs at the start of that lap. Mike
Just
Dam.
like we had seen it at we were down in Sao Paulo, same idea. Brendan Horan just stays with this pack and finds himself right there. He seems to be very suited to these style of tracks with some high-speed sweepers, and he's doing really well here And with a couple of teammates nearby him well, it's probably helping him out.
There we go. We're on board right now. We're with Steve Daniel, or at least we were on board with Steve Daniel, our open class leader, points leader right now, sitting back in 10th position in class. Definitely wants to try and find his way back up, as does Greg Mack, who we're sitting on board with right now. Of course, Mack was in that earlier incident. He finds himself back in 5th in the pro class, but more importantly, 11th overall. So he's got a lot of open class cars that he's going to have to find his way around in order to get back into contention for a podium in the pro class. Popping down into the pit lane is that Dean Dibdahl heading down into the pits. Not exactly sure what the reason. Well, now I think we know what the reason is, and he's got a lot of damage in the left front there, Larry. I wonder if he might have been involved with Nick Parsino, who we also saw drop a number of positions.
It's very possible. There's a lot of damage. I don't think he's going to be able to get back out there for this race, so sad to see him drop out. It's a tough place. You try to make moves, and you can't make them stick. Suddenly you find yourself in the pits with some damage. But it is a double sprint race tonight, so he'll have a chance for some redemption here in a few minutes. Just going to have to wait the next 18 while we finish out round 1. And these battles in the middle of this pack not going anywhere at this point, as already Bobby Childs off on the inside at Surtees. I don't know what happened to him there.
Well, let's take a look here. And he just ran wide. Yeah, just understeered.
Just a little bit of grass there, and then he's trying not to make the bad re-entry. Waits for it, lets the pack go on by, and he'll resume. No damage, but other than his ego and a whole lot of track position.
All right, Larry, and as we're looking at things in the open class right now, just noticed Michael Key in the number 98 machine. He has made a heck of a run. There's a great move from Rachel Williams getting around Mike Taylor in the 66 machine. That moves Rachel back up into 2nd in the open class. But Michael Key in the number 98 machine, he has made up 7 positions since the start of the race. He's currently running 5th. Edgar Sancinelli, who had that earlier off, has made his way around Michael Key. But for a moment there, Key, who started at the tail end of the field, I think at 12th in the open class, was running in 4th.
Here's these side-by-side battles going down through 1. That is Key and Daniel still carrying this battle all the way up into Druids. Is that 96 and Daniel's able to get underneath? But I don't think this battle's over yet.
No, it doesn't appear to be, as the Frito Sport machine of Michael Key trying to get another position back, as he drops now back down to 6th, as again our points leader Steve Daniel makes his way up into 5th in
Look
the
at these
class.
line differences. Great onboard shot here from Key, as he's able, you see him kind of break earlier, tuck in tighter earlier, while the 96 of Daniel went a much wider entry. Daniel, though, may have done what you mentioned earlier about the late apex nature of this track, might have gotten a better run out of that corner and got him up down the straightaway without much draft help given to Key behind him. But you can definitely see the variety of lines taken around the corner like Surtees.
Yeah, we'll have to see here if Key can get back up there. Now, that position that Steve Daniel just moved himself into, although he's running 5th in the open class right now, that position is Key. That is 10th overall. And if he can hold that position on track, that would put him on pole for race number 2. Yeah. So don't know if Steve's going to be looking to he'll obviously make up more points if he can move up through the field, but I don't know if he's interested in moving from there. As we watch the battle for first right now, with John Allen and Mitchell Peak all over the back of Travis Schwenke.
I've been watching Mitchell Peak. He looks antsy. He looks like he wants by Schwenke in a bad way, and he just can't quite. In fact, it looked like down the front straight he was going to push Schwenke and maybe get Schwenke past John Allen, but kind of backed off a little bit. But we know these cars bump draft really well, so if you can get up behind somebody, you can make a 2-man move and try to gang up on one. And that looked like maybe we got different teams at play here. None of these 3 are on the same team, but it wouldn't surprise me to see if Schwenke and Peak try to gang up and try to make a move here on John Allen. So we're right about the halfway mark of the race.
Yeah, so Peak had some issues at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Also, much like Jordy Fike, Thorman, and Rathke had early race issues spun the car, ended up finishing in ninth in his Esport Racer machine. So he's certainly looking for a little redemption and running very, very aggressive lines here, right behind Travis Schwenke. As we had talked about during qualifying, he started off maybe a little bit further down the order than we had expected, but obviously moved up towards the front of the pack, and he started third, and that is where he is currently.
So their incident under investigation that was involving the 67 of Randall McGrew and the number 2 of Greg Mack. So we're going to see what the stewards do about that. Mack right now running 7th overall. That may be in jeopardy if the stewards lay down anything that may go against him. So we'll keep our eyes on that, as it looks like here again, Peak all over the back of Schwenke, trying odd lines, doing everything he can as we take a peek down the order here a little bit, as Edgar Sancinelli, Mike Taylor in a dueling battle right now.
Oh, and going into paddock, and the 57 of Sancinelli, who runs wide into the gravel, but he gets things pulled back together.
And Steve Daniel then takes advantage of all of that happening right there. And
look at
ducks
that.
Underneath.
He jumps underneath, is now out of that 10th position, but still good for a second row start if he holds on where he is, as they make their way now down into Graham Hill Bend, and that paddock bend gravel trap area. You can carry a lot of speed through there, obviously. I mean, the hard thing is to get the car rotated so you start to head down the hill towards Druids, and managed to do it somehow.
As we see a good shot here of Greg Mack getting around Rachel Williams there, down that long straight there towards Hawthorne Hill.
And Rachel using all the track and maybe a little bit more. Now, a lot of the corners here, as you watch, they do. Oh, and it looks like
it's going to be on the 67 of Randall McGrew being given that penalty, and he had kind of been given the informal penalty, as he's, I believe, been he's already at the back of the pack, so another penalty assessed to him for his involvement in the incident there with Greg Mack.
Yeah, as we mentioned, it looked like he had come a little bit too far down the inside there, going into turn 1 when they got together. But I was going to say, a lot of the corners here, you have that, I don't know how to explain it, kind of a mix of concrete and grass just to the outside as you come, right there, as you come out of Graham Hill Bend. That as long as it's not wet, there should be a ton of grip there for the drivers.
And some of the folks, they've been on the iRacing platform. Maybe they don't run Brands Hats very much. You say, hey, how is that not an off-track penalty? It's not. Even in iRacing,
not in real life.
They've put the off-track penalty very, very far out on that left-hander there at Graham Hill Bend. You can use all of that. I don't know if it's a concrete with grass growing through it or whatever it is. Yeah, that's exactly
what it is.
Yeah. And you can use almost all of it. As long as you're back on the track at the end of where that ends and where the grass starts, you won't get an off-track 1X penalty. But if you do, those penalties are waiting for you. And we all know when we're on public races, you want to get the 0X for the race. You don't want to be catching those. This track is brutal for catching 1Xs, and that's one of the spots. And this is another one here, coming out of Sterling's onto the clearway straight.
Yeah, and the interesting about Sterling's, and you notice there, it's got that, reminds me of a lot of the corners at Watkins Glen, where it's very heavily cambered, and if you can drop right into that little bowl there, you can carry a ton of speed out as you make that run over towards clearways.
And we've talked about this before. I love Watkins Glen for a lot of the same reasons I love this track, because there is so much speed around here. It's simple in terms of only 9 corners, but those are some of the most complex 9 corners out there, and every one of them is just uphill, downhill, blind, and it's an amazing place. A lot, in a way, like Watkins Glen in the U.S.
All right, John Allen, as we have him rolling down the hill towards turn 3, towards Graham Hill Bend, he runs off into that mix of concrete and grass, and he maintains the lead over Schwenke. And I'm sure Schwenke might have something for John Allen if he didn't have Mitchell Peak all over him on his 6 as they go around this track. That Schwenke's having to do as much looking in the rearview mirror as he is looking at the license plate of the 101 machine.
Yeah, with about 10 minutes to go in the race, I don't know, maybe about 5 laps, something like that. This is that point of the race. Start thinking about strategy. Start thinking about what are the strengths and weaknesses of those around. And if you're Travis Schwenke, you got to think about, it's Mitchell Peak's strengths and weaknesses behind you as well as Sean Allen's out in front. But if you're, you look down the order and you got Brennan Horan, who's kind of getting pulled away from. You can see this top three is just, they're almost, nose to tail, like they've hitched their bumpers to each other and helped themselves along and left Brennan Horan behind. He's just out there by himself, and Mike Dam also back there. When we do, if this finishes this way, those two are going to be in a pretty good position right in the middle of the field and ahead of this trio in that second race. So it'll be interesting to see where do those three, Horan, Dam, and now Greg Mack, end up as we start race two.
And here we go as Mitchell Peak moves to the inside. He's going to try it under braking going into turn number one into the Paddock Hill bend. And can he get it done? They're side by side as they roll down the hill and head over towards Druids, towards the hairpin. Peak's got the inside line, and if he can get a nose up, that should allow him to clear as they head down into Graham Hill. And there you go. We have a new second place runner. It is the 56 of Mitchell Peak in Peak in that D2D iRacing machine.
Yeah, he's definitely coming on strong. We talked about him early in qualifying.
Probably the Esports racer machine. I'm going to have a bunch of people come after me.
Yeah, he was, we talked about it first couple laps of qualifying, hadn't set the pace. Now you can see he's getting into his groove. And I remember a race last season or season before at Watkins Glen where Mitchell Peak led a good portion of that race and was really fast. And we just mentioned how these tracks have some very similar characteristics. I think Mr. Peak loves this place and wants to make a run now at John Allen with a couple laps to go.
All right, as we go on board right now, and this is the battle for fifth. In the open class, Bobby Childs in the America number 88 machine with Mike Taylor in the 66, the Freer Sport machine, right beside him, side by side as they come through. And it looks like Bobby Childs, he's going to get the move done. So move Childs now up into fifth and in the open class and 10th overall.
Yeah. Oh, Mike Taylor had, with some incidents here and there, and moved up the order. And I think some of the others that had started ahead of him are finally making the way. We already saw this is a Ginelli pass. We saw the Steve Daniel pass. And now we've seen the Bobby Childs pass on Mike Taylor. And he's just still coming to grips with the pace of this series. And he had some luck early on to gain some spots, but at some point, those around him start to catch up and get their spots back. Look at this. Look at Peak all over now John Allen as they come down to Graham Hill Bend.
Go on board right now with Mitchell Peak in the number 56 machine. Slight tap of the brake there from John Allen as they start to head up the hill through Surtees and on that very long run. And we'll see here if Peak tries to take advantage of the draft, maybe sneak underneath them. Going down into Hawthorne Hill, and I look at this corner here as they come into Hawthorne, almost to some extent, obviously the profiling is very different, but I look at it almost like the kink at Road America, very high speed.
Yeah. Your approach is about the same,
Exactly.
Yeah, the speeds going into that corner are just intense. And there's a gravel trap out there, but it'll just take you all the way to the wall. That's all that trap's going to do. It's not going to slow you down very much. But I love this section as well as you go through these three corners, starting with Hawthorns, and then you've got the Sheen curve at the end of them. And they're just amazing because they crest in the middle. You can't really see it. You just have to time it based on instincts and awareness and experience. And it's just a fascinating couple of corners to go ripping around.
All right, there we go. Mike Dam gets around in there. Let's take a look here as Dam gets around the number 45 of Brennan Horn.
Mm-hmm.
Horn still your leader in the open class.
He is, we said he was hanging with the top three for a little while, unable to maintain that pace. And here you can see Mike Dam able to make that move. He's just got a little bit better around that lower section of the track in Granville Bend and Surtees than Haran is. But Haran, though, is still leading his class. So for him, that's still a good performance. He's still sitting top 5 overall.
And look at this, Larry. We have a new leader as Mitchell Peak has gotten around the 101 machine at John Allen, and now Travis Schwenke. He's trying to get some too. Schwenke pulls up right beside John Allen for a moment there, drops back in line as they go through Surtees and start to make the long run down towards Hawthorne. But let's see what happened and how it happened here.
Turn one again, Mitchell Peak. He pounced all over Schwenke in turn one on their last lap. Now he's doing the same thing to John Allen, gets on his inside, and Allen's going to try hang for a little while, but realizing this fight is over here, and there's not much you can do about it, and he just wants to fend off Schwenke behind him. Great position, great run off of the Clark curve to settle that up, as now Peak's got issues. coming back down the hills here through these kinks at the far end. And John Allen just pouncing at the opportunity to get around Peak. Boy, Peak struggling. This is what I mentioned this in the pre-race. If you put one tire off on these high-speed corners back there, it could throw your race away. And for Peak, didn't throw the race away, but certainly gave up its position here to John Allen.
All right, so now he's going to have to do it all over again as they come onto the front straight. And probably the odd man out there, Travis Schwenke in the 16 machine. He's now dropped back almost a second back from our two leaders, and now you can see where John Allen.
Yep. John Allen not going to make the same mistake twice. He's going to defend it inside. Peak may have waited too long, just pounced to the outside and forced Allen to a bad line. Unable to make the pass there going through Paddock Hill Bend. But fascinating how Allen certainly responding to the first time pass and saying, wait, okay, I'm not going to give him that. Let's make him go the long way around and hold my line.
Yeah, did not even give him the choice of going to the inside. Maybe to try and pinch him down. John Allen took that inside line and was able to make it work coming out of that corner and set up for the next. So John Allen once again takes the lead. But
it seems Peak is very fast from Sterling's through the Clark curve, and so he's made his passes there. And so I'm sure John Allen's aware of that now and saying, okay, I got to make sure that I'm positioned right and don't screw up Sterling's onto the clearways and then through the Clark curve. John seems to be pretty quick back here at this section, though, through the Westfield and Sheen curves. Look at that, using all of it.
Yeah, every last little ounce of it there as they go through some of the blind entries. There you go, right there, going through the Sheen curve. Very, very difficult entry there. Jumping down in the Sterlings again with that cambered corner that can carry a lot of speed through. But now you can see again Mitchell Peak all over the back of John Allen, locked onto his rear.
So good through Sterling's, which sets him up for here. And I think he's fantastic at this high-speed turn-in with the pavement drop that happens there at the Clark curve. It's just so much elevation change on entry, but he's doing it so precisely, so well. As we are probably now 2 laps to go with 2 minutes remaining in this. So he's going to get a couple more shots down that front straight, but now he's off into
he runs a little wide, loses a little ground. We'll see if he can make it back up.
No loss of position.
And also notable that he did not attempt to make the pass there. I think he knows he's got the speed, Larry, and I think he's going to wait till the very last lap to do it. Now, and we saw this at the start. The start-finish line here is not only early, but it's basically right in the middle of that Clark curve. It's right at the beginning of the front straight. So he's going to have to get the pass done and probably be ahead of John Allen before they get to the final corner to the Clark curve if he's going to make this win stick.
He may even attempt something, if he can't make it there, he's not out of bullets in the chamber, so to speak. If he can't do it as they enter the last lap, you can make the pass then on that Pilgrim's drop on down to Hawthorne Hill. I think that there's an opportunity there if he can't do it on the front straight, but he does seem to favor that front straight for sure. This will be fascinating to see if he can get that same run off of Sterling's that he's gotten in the last 5 or 6 times through.
All right, so we've got just about 30 seconds left on the clock as the drivers come through Sterling's and get set up for the very last corner. So we should have one more lap here at Brands Hatch for race 1, round 3 of the Classic Sprint Series.
As they make in so early, pitches the car, it clips the apex earlier than John Allen does, and I think it helps him. Allen, though, seemed to do it pretty well here as they're on white flag right now.
And there we go. He pokes to the inside. John Allen goes to cover. First driver to the apex. He manages to hold off Mitchell Peak as they make the run now down towards Druids, towards the hairpin here as they both stick as close as they can to that inside curbing, then break out to driver's left to exit and carry speed down the hill towards Graham Hill curve.
This is another shot right here. If he can get a great run off of Surtees, he'll have a shot, but he's got to really nail the exit of this and get on the gas super early.
And you can see he poked to the inside there. I think just trying to, show the nose to John Allen, maybe get him a little bit off of his game on what is, probably the most critical corner here on the course, here on the very last lap. Now, you also notice that Schwenke has gotten back into this fight. He's now only, a couple feet off the back of Mitchell Peak as our top 3 drivers all nose to tail now, making it through. They only have about a half a lap left to go here at Brands Hatch for round 3, race number 1 of 2 tonight. as they now make their way under braking and set up going through Dingledill, and now just a couple more corners to go, Larry.
Not over yet. I think if any momentum here, as I'm watching Schwenke now, maybe trying to make a move to the inside of Peak, not to be.
As they come through the
Allen,
final corner, and John Allen, yes, John Allen, he is going to hold on. He takes the win tonight in race number 1. Mitchell Peak will finish second. Travis Schwenke finishes in third as we wait for our 4th place finisher to cross the stripe. That is Mike Dam, with Brennan Horan taking the win in the open class. As we jump back a little bit further right now.
This group here will set the order for the front of the field for the next race, down the order a little bit.
Yeah, so let's jump over as we look at Bobby Childs with Steve Daniel right ahead. And as things play out right now, it looks like Edgar Sancinelli finishing in 8th in the Freedom Sport number 57 machine after that early incident that he was involved in. Then Steve Daniel, and then Bobby Child in the 88 machine. He's going to start on pole, Larry, here in just a few moments.
Yes, he will, and he was right in the pack here in that race. That'll be fun to see him lead the pack down that front straight and down Paddock Hill Bend for lap 1 of the second race. I can't wait to see that, and at some point maybe we'll have a chance to talk to him later on. But, you know, we haven't talked enough, I don't think, about Brennan Horan and his win here in the open class tonight in this first round. I think it's great for him, but look who came in second in this open class. Rachel Williams
in the 777 Shibke machine. She finishes second. Edgar Sancinelli, as we mentioned, finishing on the 3rd step of the podium in the open class after having that earlier incident. So great run for Edgar as well. So Larry, as our drivers make their way on the cool-down lap, we're going to give them about 5 minutes to get ready for race number 2. So in the meantime, let's take a quick break, thank our sponsors, and we'll be back in just a moment with round 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series here at Brands Hatch.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
And we're back here at Brands Hatch. We've just witnessed an amazing round number 3, our first 30-minute sprint of the evening, Larry, with John Allen taking the win in the pro class, Brennan Horn taking the win in the open class, and our drivers, they've got their 5-minute practice, which I believe they're about 2.5 minutes through right now, but we are going to go back at it here in just a few moments. We're going to grid cars up. We're going to have another 30-minute sprint with our Classic Sprint Series drivers here at Brands Hatch, but what we're going to do, we talked about it a little bit, we're going to invert the top 10 drivers, so that is going to definitely make things interesting, Larry, as it's going to put some of our open class drivers right up at the front of the pack and move some of those pro class drivers a little bit further back in the field.
Yeah, it will, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how long Bobby Childs and Steve Daniel want to fight at the front, or do they want to play nice and try and pull away from Santinelli and Williams behind them? That'll be kind of dictate the beginning of the pace of this race. The other will be is Mike Dam now starting ahead of teammate Schwenke and then Mitchell Peak and John Allen has a chance. Mike Dam does to maybe score finally some good points. Only finishing, he finished fifth in that race, so he's or fourth, I guess. So he. Finishing fourth there is good, but I think he really wants to get a top 3 or even a win in the second race. And starting ahead of Peak and Allen, maybe his opportunity to try it. If he can get around, we already saw him once past Brennan Horan, so he's going to do that again. But now he's going to have to deal with Greg Mack, who's always fast, and there's 4 other drivers up there that he's got to make his way around. So I'd watch for Mike Dam, though, to see if he can make this race his own.
All right, Larry, and it's amazing how fast our drivers can get cars repaired, because we're following Tom Rathke on track currently in the number 41 machine. He was involved in that early incident in race number 1, and looks like he's out on his practice laps
like
right
the
now.
Old days of Formula One where they carried spare cars. You just literally get out of your car after turn 1 and get right into a brand new fresh car, hopefully set up for you and not for your teammate.
That's right. I was watching, and gosh, I'm trying to remember. I think it was the Australian Grand Prix where Johnny Herbert went and flipped the car like 6 times going into turn 1 at the start of the race, and he ran all the way back and got it. It was amazing. Gosh, I'm trying to remember what year this was, but he ran all the way back and was able to get into the spare car and take the start. The second start after everybody was just amazed that he was able to actually get out of the car.
Still walking, let alone into his car.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we've got just about 10 seconds left to go in the practice here. A little bit less than that, so we should have our drivers lining up on the grid here in just a brief moment. There we go as we look at Dean Dibdahl taking his final couple of corners here in the practice. I'm sure Dean is going to be looking for a little bit better result than he had in race number 1.
So a couple things, I mentioned about, I think, watching for Mike Dam in this race could be interesting, but also how long do Allen and Peak fight each other, or do they want to work together to get through the pack? That'll be interesting. So let's get through our grid for race 2, starting on the pole from finishing the 10th in the first race. He's out in front in the second race. That's going to be D2D Esports' own Bobby Childs. He'll be lined up alongside SKKJ Racing, Steve Daniel. On row 2, on the inside, Frito Sport Racing, Edgar Santinelli. On the outside, it's going to be Rachel Williams in the SDK Racing. As close as I'm going to get. On row 3, Esport Racing, Greg Mack. He'll be alongside teammate Brennan Horan. On row 4, we talked about him already, Mike Dam and Orion Racing alongside his teammate Travis Schwenke. On row 5, finishing second of the first race, awards you with a row 5 start in this race, Esport Racer Mitchell Peak, and he'll be alongside a race 1 winner, John Allen. On row 6, Frito Sport Racing's Mike Taylor, and his teammate to his left will be Michael Key. On row 7, Robert Briss from RFC Racing. He'll be alongside John Casey from 046 Racing. Row 8, Dean Dibdahl. He'll get a second crack at this race. He'll be alongside Patrick Preventis from Frito Sport Racing. Row 9, Greg Brockway from Esport Racing and Nick Parsono at NAP Motorsports. In the last row, another one getting some redemption here, Tom Rathke, Granite State Racing, and Randall McGrew from Genesis Sim Sport. 20 cars, one time around to warm it up, and then we will go green for 30 more minutes.
There we go, and we're going to have to we'll have to see here what McGrew, and this might be the the story of race number 2, is watching McGrew and Rathke try to make their way through the open class and make their way back up to the field, of course, after that early incident in race number 1 where they both had damaged cars and did not return from the pits. They are starting at the very rear of the field.
They've got pace. They definitely have pace. They were up there in the, like you said, rows 3 and 4 at the start of the first race. Now on row 10. So this could be a fun one to watch.
All right, so the pace car now bringing Steve Daniel around, as well as Bobby Childs. Bobby Childs, the pole sitter in the number 88 machine, the red, white, and blue car. Steve Daniel, again, good spot for him to start, although he did finish in ninth position. He was our points leader in the open class coming into the evening, so I'm sure he's going to be looking to try and keep that car up as far ahead of the rest of our open class drivers as he can in order to maximize his points haul for tonight.
Yeah, and that's really, to me, is the secret with this double sprint format, is you don't necessarily have to win both races, and you're going to get the benefit of the inversion flip there for the second race, but that means you only got a 10th place or 9th place finish the first race. The real winners tonight are the ones that can make passes, that you can, in this second race, go from 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th up into a podium. That's the real challenge, to try to collect maximum points in this two-race format.
All right, and as Childs and Daniel bring the field down, and they're making their way down towards and underneath that bridge towards Clearways, the final corner. Want to remind everybody, remember to join us next week at 8 p.m. For the Ricmotech World Challenge. Going to be the opening round of Season 3 from Mossport. You don't want to miss it, as our pole sitter now coming and bringing the field down into the final corner. Again, the start zone starts right at that white line, and as soon as Bobby Childs goes and accelerates, the rest of the field will get the word, and it looks like he kept everything nice and slow, and we've actually got the regular starter waving the green flag here as things get underway much further down the front straight as they make their way now down into the Paddock Hill Bend for the very first time, rolling down the hill, and already starting to see here perhaps Sancinelli not going to put up with Bobby Childs there. He gets around Steve Daniel as Greg Mack also gets around Daniel going into the first couple of corners. Then we've got Mike Dam, Mitchell Peak already making their way up. They are running 5th and 6th now as everything is starting to
I don't think anybody's a part of the Patience Motorsports team, as already there's the off.
Oh, look at this. Greg Mack for the second race in a row. He goes around over at Surtees, and it looks like the 96 machine goes around as well. So that is going to really make things hard for Steve Daniel, who wanted to stay at the front of that open class. He now falls all the way back to the rear of the field. But Greg Mack for the second race in a row, problems in laps 1 and 2.
Let's see what's happened up front, because Mitchell Peak has gone from starting 9th all the way to currently 3rd. He's ahead of this pack with just Sancinelli and Bobby Childs out in front of him. Look at him there in that 56. He leapfrogged 6 cars to get himself up to the 3rd spot in about 6 corners. That's an amazing start, and he even got around Mike Dam, who was a couple spots up above Dam, now right behind him in 4th. Brennan Horan sitting in the middle of this in 5th with Travis Schwenke, then John Allen, Rachel Williams, and then Mike Taylor and Michael Key. But yeah, the story so far is Mitchell Peak. What a jump to start this race. That's what I was talking about. If you want to maximize points tonight, you don't have to win either race, but if you can go second in the first race and jump into a podium in the second, you're going to walk away with a lot of points tonight.
All right, and a little bit further back in the open class, Mike Taylor gets around Rachel Williams as they come out of the final corner onto the front straight to complete lap number 1 here. So now move Rachel back to 5th. Rachel, odd person out. I was going to say odd man out, having dropped 5 positions on the first lap.
And then she's in contact with him as well. It's going to create a pileup. Again, back here at this. So
Mike
Druids.
Taylor and Rachel Williams get together. It looks like Dean Dibdahl got into the back of Rachel Williams when they came to a stop as well. So that might be an issue for Dean Dibdahl for the second race in a row. We'll have to see if he can recover from that. But as we jump back to the live action now, we've got Mitchell Peak and Mike Dam side by side with Warren, Schwenke, and Allen right behind them as they make their way down the hill here. We've got Peak with inside position going into the corner, gets up over the top of the curb, gets a little loose.
This is not where I want to go side by side through any of this, and they're still doing it. As Schwenke's still on the inside, Horan on the outside. This is not, and now they're going to go 3 wide with John Allen now taking advantage of the inside of Schwenke. 3 wide, heading to Sheen Curve, down to 2.
Oh my gosh.
Odd man out. It looks like Brennan Horan
going a little wide there, checking it out for a moment. But he manages to hold on to the position and stick ahead of Schwenke.
I think it was Mike Dam out in front of them as well, going wide, coming out of Sterling's, but he's able to keep it in check. Wow, that was some intense moment there, going 2 and 3 wide to the back section of this track. All this has done is given Bobby Childs and Edgar Sancinelli a chance. But let's take a look here at this incident between Rachel Williams and the 66 of Mike Taylor. She's on the inside, trying to stick her nose in there. He comes down, and she just catches his rear quarter, and unfortunately behind her, that Dibdahl perhaps.
Yeah, I think that was Dibdahl that got right into the rear bumper there.
And then John Casey in the 78 also taps into this little bit of a pileup. Unfortunately, I would probably put that one on Rachel. I think she had the car inside enough there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
She took a pretty big hit to the front of that car as well. But boy, this race out front is getting exciting now with Peak and Dam and Allen just going for the throat cut here at this point. No one's taking it. They're not sitting here and saying, let's play the long game. This is all about who can win this next corner.
All right, we're on board right now with Michael Key sitting back in 11th position. He started 12th for this race, and he's up one, sitting right behind Nick Parsino in the number 79 machine there, and trying to make his way back up through the field. They've separated themselves out just a little bit from Steve Daniel, but Steve Daniel has made up a couple of positions since his spin on lap number one. Daniel now running 7th in the open class and 12th overall. As we jump back now towards the front of the field, and Child and Sancinelli, last we saw them, had about a 6-car length lead on Dam, Peak, and John Allen. Those drivers have now all caught up, and they are all nose to tail as they come onto the front straight here. And I think Sancinelli's and Child's time at the front of the field is going to be short-lived.
Yeah, as long as they were fighting with Dam and Peak and those guys, it was going to help Charles and Sancinelli pull away. But as soon as they all kind of got themselves together and said, this isn't a good idea, guys, let's go win a race, things changed up very quickly.
Drastically, yeah, exactly. All right,
looks like John Allen's going to make a move as well inside of Sancinelli. He wants that 4th place spot, does not want to let Dam and Peak get away, and he's right in line with them. And now Bobby Childs, I don't want to call him a sitting duck, but he may have feathers and he may be quacking right now.
The bald eagle there, the America car might not be long for the front of the field here. All right, so the stewards have made a decision, and they have assigned blame to Rachel Williams in the number 777 Shibke car. She is going to have a drive-through penalty. Of course, her car is still sitting in the pit lane getting repairs, so it might be a while before she can serve that.
Yeah, self-served, unfortunately, in this case, as she had taken on a pretty good chunk of damage in that one. Dibdahl also had gone through the pits to try and take on some repairs. I think he's back out now, but he'd definitely taken the repairs in there. So unfortunately,
here we go. Edgar Sancinelli going for the wild ride here.
He had a good couple laps to start, but now he's just trying to hang on with the pace. These guys out in front, with Schwenke even in front of him there, they are just flying right now. That's a tough pace to maintain.
Yet Bobby Child still sits at the front of the field. He is your leader in the open class. Brennan Horan sitting back in 5th overall, currently running 2nd in class.
It's Peak again. He may be pushing Mike Dam along. He's giving him every bit of aero advantage if he hasn't actually hitting them. Oh no, they're so close. They're door to door, just about rubbing there with Childs and Peak. So close. Peak on the inside. John Allen going to say, thank you very much. I will take the inside as well. Is Bobby going to come back at him? He's not done yet as they head down towards Graham Hill Bend. That's some good, clean racing right now. But in the end, John Allen's going to take that spot away. He's trying everything, though, to hang on to this pace. But you look already now, Peak, 2nd in the first race after 30 minutes. Had the lead momentarily. He started this race 9th, now already up to 2nd, and he's got Mike Dam in his sights. John Allen's the winner of round 1, already up to 3rd as well. And you look behind them, Child started on pole here. Horan finished the first race, I think, in 5th. Schwenke was 3rd in the first race. He's right now behind Horan, but ahead of Sancinelli. McGrew currently sitting there in 8th overall, 5th in the pro class. Remember, he started this race dead last in 20th. He's made up 12 positions already, and he's got a couple seconds to make up here to catch up to Sancinelli, but he is moving along pretty quick to try and catch a couple more spots in the next 22 minutes.
As we're on board right now with Travis Schwenke, about car length back from Brennan Horan, trying to get around that machine. And as we watch here, Horn in the 45 trying to make up a little bit of ground to Bobby Childs in the number 88 car.
He's trying, but I don't know that he's going to catch up to Childs before Schwenke gets around him. And out in front, Mitchell Peak is your new leader, making his way around Mike Dam there through Druids. Mike Dam maybe try and retaliate, but I don't know that he's going to be able to yet. He's got to wait for another corner. As now our threesome is Mitchell Peak, Mike Dam, and John Allen, your top 3, nose to tail as they go around Surtees and head down the straight.
And the one driver you would expect to be there at the front along with him, Travis Schwenke. He is mired back in 6th overall. So he's still got to find his way around Horn and Childs to get up into that battle for the lead. As we take a look now at our leaders, Peak, Dam, and Allen, all nose to tail.
We've seen a lot of Peak play the aggressor and be the fighter. The only couple of corners we saw him in the lead, remember, he made an unforced error and let John Allen sneak around him. So that's got to be going through his head right now. I know it's a different race, but that was only about 25 minutes ago. So for Mitchell Peak, he's got the pace, but can he do it as the rabbit instead of the fox? I mean, he's got at some point here be able to do it out in front before he gives up another position.
All right, John Allen now moving to the inside. The driver's right on Mike Dam as they head into this corner. And John Allen, he is going to take over the lead, or take over second place as they come through the Clark curve onto the front straight. But that has also opened things up just a little bit for Peak there, Larry, and he's now opened up about a 2-car length advantage. So I think we'll have to see here if Mike Dam tries to return the favor on John Allen. If he does, that may just allow Peak to sneak away just that little bit more.
Exactly what Peak would love to see right now is he would love to see both these guys side by side through the next couple of corners. I don't think Mike Dam would do that. I think he's recognizing the situation that, hey, if I just hitch my wagon to this Allen bumper in front of me, the 3 of us could stick together and then see what happens as we get down to the last 10 minutes instead of throwing this away in the first 10. So I think Mike Dam playing the long game, whereas Peak was not, and it paid off for him to be the aggressor. John Allen also aggressive. Now the 2 of them that led this race first and second for the first 30-minute sprint are now back in the lead just 10 minutes into our second 30-minute sprint.
And meanwhile, Bobby Childs in that 88 machine doing a pretty good job of holding off Horn and Schwenke. It looks like, and it's not so much that he's running a defensive game here, it's just that he's keeping the pace up and hasn't lost all that much from our leaders there, and really hasn't given Horn or Schwenke any real advantage or any opportunity to get by.
I think Horn's going to be able to make a move here soon because he is right up under the bumper of Bobby Childs for that 4th spot overall. You can see him there as they come down here, entering the front straight. Horan wants that before Schwenke catches him, I think is what it's going to come down to. Schwenke was there a minute ago. He's backed off.
Well, actually, Schwenke dropped a wheel on the exit of Sterling's, and it's cost him a couple car lengths here. As John Allen now moving down to the inside, going into the paddock bend, and can John Allen take the lead? He does. So move the 101 machine up in the first, at least for the moment, as they go into Druids as the 56 a Peak. He's got the position. He's got the inside line coming down if he can get a nose up, but now it moves back to the other direction, and John Allen's going to have the line here as they go into 2 left-hand corners.
Not
if he can
yet.
hold off Peak.
Peak's still there. Here he is. One more time.
Oh,
Peak
there
now
you go.
back in front. This is amazing. Watch this. That's 3 straight corners, some side-by-side racing, not an ounce of contact. These guys doing their best. And Mike Dam with the best seat in the house, watching this go on right in front of him, trying to pressure one of these 2 guys into doing something to take themselves out. And you can see him trying to just fill that half a car width between them. There's just no room to do that unless he really wants to get racy here, but maybe not with still about 18 minutes of racing left.
You know, in real life, Larry, he would have pushed whichever car he wanted. He would have pushed them by.
I've seen my
something
share
you
of
can't do in iRacing.
I've seen my share of those pro MX5 races where those guys do exactly that. They make their own gap. But here in iRacing, the sim decides what kind of damage you get as behind them there.
Well, I think that was Bobby Childs. We were just talking a moment ago about the race that Childs was running and how he was staying nice and calm there, but he runs wide going through, I think that was through Hawthorne, and he's going to drop back a little bit from our lead pack. So that now gives Brendan Horan the lead in the open class. He's running 4th overall.
And he is right in the middle of this group here. Here in that 4th spot, still holding Schwenke behind him. These guys are just putting down an incredible pace despite going side by side. If you think about it, they're running 140.5 140.0, 140.2, driving half the track side by side.
I was going to say
I can't do a 42 around this place by myself in peak conditions, and these guys are doing it side by side. It's amazing the pace they're keeping up. At some point, Mike Dam will turn his aggression on, but he's certainly playing the patient game right now.
He's got about 15 minutes to go here. Plenty of time, about another 10 laps to think about things, or actually I guess about another 9 laps to think about things before he starts to bring the fight to John Allen here. I think I'm sure the plan was for them to now try and sneak away from Horan, from Schwenke, and I guess Schwenke's the only other one in that pack that I think they're really concerned about. But
yeah, well, when you blow through the field like a bullet in a china shop, the last thing you do is sneak away. I mean, everybody else went, whoa, we okay, you got our attention. All right, we'll cling to the back of you for a while. We're not going to do anything dumb to throw this way and hand it to you after you just passed 4 rows worth of cars.
All right, so we jump back a little bit further in the field here. Michael Key with Greg Mack. Mack with that early race incident with Rachel Williams, and he is now sitting all the way back in 13th position, 6th in the pro class right now. It just has not been a good night for Greg Mack.
Has not, but he's having a good time with this little racing position here with Michael Key. They've gone side by side, coming around those couple of curves there at the high-speed section of the track, and he made a bit of an evasive mover to avoid Key, and no issues, no contact, nobody went off, but boy, kind of crazy places to go side by side.
Yes.
Definitely some good battles all the way down this field here tonight. It's just one of those tracks that just brings cars together in fun places. Childs is back to going, come on, guys, wait for me.
Wait for me.
He's doing everything he can. Started this race here, the second race tonight, on pole. Held the field off there for a good 8-9 minutes, but all of a sudden, tell you what, some of those pro drivers are just so fast with Allen and Peak and Schwenke getting through here, and Mike Dam right in the mix of all of them. This is going to be a fun last 14 minutes or so.
All right, as John Allen leads the field now through the last couple of corners here. They're coming up on the Clark curve to come onto the front straight to complete lap number 10. And we have just a little bit less than halfway to go. And, Larry, I think I talked about it a little bit during the opening. Wanted to remind everybody that next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, remember to join us for the Ricmotech World Challenge. Round 1 of season number 3 going to be at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Mosport. I know we've been advertising it as being Daytona, but we've had a couple changes in the schedule, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that when this race completes, but definitely make sure to join us. You're going to definitely enjoy watching those LMP2, GTE, and GT3 drivers going around one of the fastest tracks that you're going to find, certainly in North America.
Oh, yeah, I love that track again. It's just got that same sort of feel, but it's high speed everywhere, but it's such a tough place to pass, which means precision comes down. You'll see a lot of side-by-sides there next week, but boy, it's going to be exciting as it always is there. I just love that track for so many reasons.
All right, as our drivers now come down the hill and set up here come through Hawthorne. Again, probably the fastest corner on the track. And John Allen still holds the point over Mitchell Peak, but you can see Peak starting to show the nose once again after taking a lap or so off. And oh, look at this, coming down the inside, Brennan Horn shows the nose to Mike Dam as well. Looks like Horn not so happy with his 4th position.
Schwenke getting a little swifty back there, trying to make a move then on Horn, who's moved into
just said? Yeah, here we go.
It's getting all kinds of crazy. Everyone's kind of watching that clock and seeing how many laps left, saying if you're 4th and 5th, you got to make a pass once a lap. So yeah, that's where Horan and Schwenke are. They need to start making moves.
All right, so Peak now had the move, came underneath John Allen coming through the final corner, and he now takes over the lead as they go into the Paddock Hill. But looks like John Allen not done yet. We saw this exact same thing play out just a few laps ago.
He'll be in the inside of the next one.
Yeah, but it looks like Peak has already got the nose up. John Allen actually runs off just a little bit wide coming out of Druids.
They'll be on the inside when they get to Surtees. We got one off.
Did we have a little bit of contact there between Schwenke and Brennan Horn as Horn goes off coming out of the Graham Hill bend? And I'm sure that's something that Bobby Childs was looking forward to, as he might have made up a little bit of ground there to his competitor.
Yeah, he's looking for a draft bridge at this point. Great shot here as we see them come down towards the Graham Hill bend. You see the battle in the front, but let's take a look at Horan behind them, and he does. He gets into the back of Mike Dam, causing his own issues there, able to recover without hitting the walls on the outside, but that was all in Horan. Probably got such a good run, didn't expect that Mike Dam in front of him didn't have the same run.
Yeah, so Schwenke gets around Horan, and now only a couple car lengths off of that lead pack of 3 as they come through now and set up for Sterling's.
Yeah, we know this is the part of the track where Mitchell Peak has excelled, but John Allen may be learning a thing or two about Mitchell Peak's line through Sterling's and then down to the curve, the Clark curve. This is where we see these great lines and a lot of great exit speed for Mitchell Peak. John Allen's got to be learning that line at this point, but he can't just sit there and study because he's got Mike Dam looking like he's about to pounce going into 1.
Yeah, it looked like Dam was about ready to make the same move on him. As we jump back a little bit further in the field, we've got the 79 of Nick Parsono with Greg Brockway and Steve Daniel right behind. This is the battle for 4th in the open class, running 9th, 10th, and 11th overall. And Parsono seems to have the measure of these drivers right now. He has made up 9 positions since the start of this race. So great run for him.
Yeah, Daniel on the outside there. Yes, he does. He gets on past Greg Brockway on that little sweeper there. And so Daniel now going to try and keep up with Parsono up in front of him. Great pass there, going down the front straight. Watching Daniel taking really nice, smooth exit lines there. Really got his sights set on Parsono out in front of him. Little curve there for Parsono. Going to lose a little bit of momentum. Going to give a chance there for Daniel. We'll catch back up with them in a minute as we move up to the front now. Mike Dam now is into 2nd. He's now the one on the tail of Mitchell Peak. John Allen shuffled back.
Yeah, we said that we thought Dam had perhaps was going to try and imitate that move by Peak as they came into turn 1. Yeah, he drops a wheel, and now Schwenke looks like he's on the attack as he's now side by side with John Allen as they come onto the front straight here. And Schwenke, he's just going to sit to the inside. He's seen 2 other drivers do it to John Allen today.
And I just saw tire marks in the grass from John Allen going around the Clark curve. Boy, that was dangerous. Loses some momentum. He's going to lose the position, but he hasn't lost the race yet. Ooh, that was so close to losing it completely going through that Clark curve for John Allen. But he's still in this race, but lose the spot to Schwenke, who's now back to 3rd.
And with that move, both Peak and Dam have separated themselves out just a little bit from Schwenke, Allen, and Brennan Horn. Now with the gap about 2 car lengths, and you can still see Bobby Childs saying, come on, fall back to me here.
He's trying everything. He's probably on there talking trash to them over the chat radio saying, come on, guys, come on, do a buddy a solid here, come on. But none of them are going to fold for that one as Mike Dam probably just going to stay in line here and see if he and Pete can get some good exits and hope that John Allen's the aggressor and slows down Travis Schwenke, because Allen right now, if he wants to win both races tonight, he's got to pass 3 cars to do it. 3 very fast drivers. Schwenke has been quick. He was quick on the podium in the first race, now in that position in the second race. But this has been really Mitchell Peak's race, going from 9th up to the lead. Mike Dam trying to make moves, but Peak has just been so good, especially in these corners here, coming out of Sterling's.
Yeah, this has been the place where all night long, race 1 and race 2, you can see he just has just slightly better line and gets a lot better run here onto the front straight. Although it looks like Dam might be caught in the draft here as Peak moves all the way to the inside to defend.
That draft. Sometimes you can't do anything about it. Mike Dam's trying to use it, but very good track position there for Mitchell Peak. Kind of went middle of the road, forcing Dam to the side, making him go the long way, unable to do it. But now he's on the inside in Druids, and this might just stick for Mike Dam.
As
Yes,
Dam goes and he pushes a little wide there, and he does, at least for the moment here. Now we saw where Mitchell Peak had fought back against John Allen in race number 1 coming through here, actually earlier on in this race. But now Mike Dam in the number 93 machine, he takes over first place as they make their way now through Surtees and along that very long run all the way down towards Hawthorne.
I see lap traffic in front of them. I don't know if they're going to catch him by the time they get to Sterling's, but this could be interesting. Always
and there we go. And look at Travis Schwenke showing the nose as they go into Hawthorne, trying to get underneath the skin of Mitchell Peak. Yeah, there's one driver running a little bit off pace there, but just one car that they've got to deal with, and it looks like, Larry, they're going to get to him probably up by Paddock Hill,
if I'm not mistaken. So he'll be watching his relatives, watching his mirrors, because these guys are flying already. They've already picked up many, many car lengths on him. And here's this part of the track again. Mitchell Peak, say it every time. But look at the run he gets. A little bit of grass at the exit for Mike Dam. Peak now has the momentum. Expect to see a move as they go into Clark Curve. Nope, he's going to wait.
As time is running down now, Larry, only 5 minutes remaining here in round number 4 of the Classic Sprint Series from Brands Hatch.
You see what's at the tail of that pack is a John Allen way off the pace back there. Did not see what happened, but here you go. You got to move out in front. Mike Dam goes sideways through the Paddock Hill bend. Whew, holds on to it, able to continue, but boy, that was a bit of a scary moment there.
Yeah, and just as I suspected, they caught up to the number 78 car, John Casey, just as they were getting into Paddock Hill. For a moment there, it looked like Peak might have tapped the rear bumper of Mike Dam as they were coming towards the apex there, let out of it just a little bit. But for whatever issues John Allen is having, he is now dropped back into 5th position overall as Brennan Horn gets around the 101 car as well. And he is now attached to the rear bumper of Travis Schwenke. As Schwenke now moves to the to driver's left, it looks like he might try and make a move on 56.
Hawthorne side by side. This is one of the fastest corners on the track. Not a lot of room for error here. They're still doing it. They're going to go through Westfield. They're going to stay this way. Is Schwenke going to back off? He does. Oh, but he got contact there on the way through. Peak taking the worst of it. He's out in the gravel now on the outside of Dingle Dell. He's back on, though, now behind John Allen. Doesn't lose it entirely, but boy, that could have cost him a lot more than just a couple of positions.
But Schwenke had the checkup as well. Brennan Horn gets by Schwenke, and now look at this. John Allen, he is now fighting for position as John Allen tries to move up into 2nd place if he can get by Horn.
Yeah, that's been the benefactor in all of this. What's been going on here is Brennan Horn, who we saw get the warning for the contact early, and then he takes himself off going out into Clark Curve, and this is going to give John Allen the momentum to try and take 2nd place back while Mike Dam sees you running away with about 2 or 3 laps to go. John Allen now on the inside of Horan, and on his outside, he's got Mitchell Peak as well, so it's going to get really tight here going down through the Paddock Hill bend.
Yeah, and you saw John Allen there. He had to give a little bit of ground at the apex there because it looked like Peak was going to try and sneak underneath him and actually clipped a little bit of the curb, but no contact there. But John Allen now, he has sole possession of 2nd place with Mitchell Peak, who had that pretty bad off just a couple corners ago, has moved his way back up to 3rd. But I think the biggest issue or the biggest story right now is that Mike Dam has opened up a tremendous lead with only 2.5 minutes remaining.
You've got that, and you got under review the Schwenke and Peak contact that happened back there at Westfield. The stewards are looking at it. Those guys right now are sitting 3rd and Schwenke and 4 sitting in, I guess, 3rd and 5th in this train. And that could change things if Schwenke ends up being given a penalty. That could help Bobby Childs. So we'll wait and see what the stewards have to say about that. But now the challenge is for John Allen with just probably 2 laps or so to go here to try and make a move at Mike Dam. And we know that Allen's got pace. 1.8 seconds is a pretty tall order. He's got to get within that 1.2 or so to catch that draft. Meanwhile, he's going to have to try and hold off a very, very racy Mitchell Peak, who's been that way for all night. And we'll see if they can catch him.
Yeah, and you can see Peak there trying to open up the corner as much as possible using a little bit of grass, and actually does make up a little bit of ground on John Allen. But now Travis Schwenke trying to make his way around Brennan Horn to try and get into that fight as well, as Schwenke is currently running in 4th in the pro class. There we go. Last lap here at Brands Hatch. Our leader, Mike Dam, John Allen running 2nd, Mitchell Peak 3rd, Travis Schwenke getting the pass done on Brandon Horn, move him up to 4th. Horn, our open class leader, running in 5th with Bobby Childs, running about 10 car lengths back from there, running 2nd in the open class. Edgar Sancinelli quite a bit further back, running 3rd in the open class.
Well, I tell you what, I don't think Brandon Horn's just content winning the open class, because you see the moves he's trying to make, counter moves back to get around Schwenke. He would love to get that 4th overall for the race and put himself ahead of another one of those pro class drivers, but right now leading in the open class. The other one I want to take note there is you can see Randall McGrew started 20th up to 7th overall in this field. Great race for him considering the starting place. We knew he had some pace, probably not going to move up any more places, but great effort there anyway. Let's get back to our leaders. John Allen still trying to chase. Mitchell Peak not quite close enough to make a move on Allen. Everyone's kind of spaced themselves out after all that fighting. And for Mike Dam, probably about 4 corners to go. It's 4 of the most dangerous and treacherous corners in motorsport, but he's got a couple of them to go to try and win this round 2 tonight.
All right, you might have seen there Travis Schwenke getting a warning from the stewards, so he is going to continue on, not going to have to worry about any kind of penalties as our leaders make their way underneath the pedestrian bridge here into the final corner, into the Clark curve. As the number 93 machine, Mike Dam, comes around. He does manage to get through. He's going to stick all the way driver's right, and he comes up. Mike Dam is your winner for round 4 of the Classic Sprint Series. John Allen will finish in 2nd. Then Mitchell Peak in the number 56 machine will finish in 3rd. Travis Schwenke will finish 4th. Our winner in the open class finishing in 5th overall, Brennan Horan, with Bobby Childs taking 2nd place. Then as it appears that Edgar Sancinelli, well, let's not say anything yet because he's got a heck of a battle going on with Nick Parsono and Steve Daniel here coming onto the front straight. But here we go, crossing the line. Edgar Sancinelli in the number 57 Frito Sport machine. He's going to take the win, or probably take the last step on the podium in the open class. Parsono and Steve Daniel coming in 4th and 5th.
Parsono and Daniel, 89 thousandths and 1 thousandths behind Sancinelli. Oh my goodness, what a battle there for the 3rd step of the podium in that open class. But great racing. I like this format. I like the switcheroo on the top 10. Created a lot of interesting battles. Even once they kind of sorted out, boy, that battle between Dam and Allen, Schwenke and Peak, with Horan right in there, was incredible. I love this. I think this was a great night for racing.
All right, so Larry, what we're going to do now, we're going to let these drivers are going to cool down just a little bit. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to interview our podium finishers. So you are watching from Brands Hatch rounds 3, and now we've just completed round 4 of the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
And we are back. We are back here at Brands Hatch in the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. And we are going to be talking to some of our winners here tonight. But first, let's take a look at our results of our feature race, race number 2. And there you can see taking the win by just a little less than 1 second is Mike Dam from Orion Racing in second. He won the first race tonight, and he comes back all the way up to second. In the second race is John Allen. Mitchell Peak was second in round 1 tonight and comes in on the podium here to round that out here in the third spot here in the feature race in our second race tonight. In fourth overall, Travis Schwenke from the Orion Racing. And then we've got our first finisher in the open class, Brennan Horan, taking the win in the open class, followed closely by Bobby Chiles, second in open class. I'm going to jump on down to Edgar Sancinelli, finishing third in the open class to round out that podium. Randall McGrew made his way from 20th on the starting grid for the second race all the way to 7th in the final finishing order here in race 2. Great effort there. To finish up in the 7th to round out our top 10. We got Nick Parsoneau just about a couple seconds there off the podium in the open class. He'll finish 9th overall in this field. And then Steve Daniel in 10th in the open class, 10th overall in the field, 5th in the open class. So fantastic race number 2, great race number 1. What a format tonight we've got with these 2 races.
Yeah, absolutely, Larry. And we've got a couple of our drivers sitting and standing by right now in the green room. Let's bring in first Brennan Horan, driver of the number 45 machine, took the win both in round 3 and in round 4 tonight.
All right, so we've got Brennan Horan, our open class winner of both 2 races tonight. Brennan, not only winning the 2 races for the open class, but you were right in the mix there with the front of this field, certainly in that second race. Walk me through some of that exciting action.
Yeah, that was just an amazing race for me. I'm so happy. I got to thank Extreme for this format because, I mean, this was just one of the best race weekends that I've had, not only in finishing position, but also just overall fun and enjoyment. And yeah, I don't think it could have been done without this 30-minute format. And yeah, I don't know. It was crazy being up front. I'm sure the Orion guys are going to have a few words with me after this, but I was just happy to be up there with them, and had a great view for that first and second race.
Yeah, it seemed that moment there you had to the Graham Hill bend, that left-hander where you kind of tapped into the back of Mike Dam, I believe it was. Thought maybe it was all going to go away. I mean, little quick reflexes, I guess, kind of kept you into that one.
Yeah, well, I was just so I wasn't used to being that close with those types of drivers, and I think I just kind of caught myself out there and wasn't looking ahead far enough, and I think that was all that was. But I was lucky to escape and continue.
Yeah, well, a great night tonight for sure when it comes to open class, but a great performance for you when it comes to the overall tonight with great finishes in both races. So congratulations for that. Anybody else you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank Team Esport Racer, our sponsor GB Consulting, for the computing power that we used during all the races. Thank you guys a lot for the broadcast. I know all the fans love this one. It was just a bonkers race. Thank Extreme for running this series and having this great idea to do this race format. And thank my family for watching and supporting. Love them.
Yeah, I agree. I think the family's going to have a lot of fun watching this one. I think you're probably going to enjoy watching it back as well. And I agree, the format was a lot of fun tonight. So thanks, Brennan, and great racing tonight. We'll see you in the next round.
Thanks a lot, guys. See you.
All right, there's Brennan Horan, driver of the number 45 Esport Racer Machine, our winner, double winner tonight in the open class. Next, Larry, and we've got the choice here. We could either bring in our winner from race 1 or our winner from race 2. Let's start off with the winner from race 1, finished on top step of the podium there, finished second in our second race. It's John Allen.
All right, we are here with John Allen. Don't forget to unmute yourself. There you are, John. Won the first race. Very exciting battle you had there with Mitchell Peak. Walk me through a little bit of that race before we jump into how the race 2 went.
Yeah, so it's hard to lead here. Mike had mentioned that after the race, and the tires go away pretty quick, even in a sprint, but there's just so many turns where the car is light while you're trying to put in a lot of steering input, falls away in turn 1, both hairpins. It's just tires go really fast. So it was, I thought I might have broke the draft before that first yellow in the first race, got a great start, and then complete reboot after that. It was just hanging on, and I could tell where there were 2 turns Mitchell had me, like either by setup or as a tactician, he just was a step quicker than I was. And thankfully, the place I was quicker in the first race, at least before some people figured it out, was I guess it'd be turn 4, maybe the primary hairpin down the back stretch. And I figured that was the easiest pass to set up. And if I could just have a setup that defended well there, that's what I needed to run from the front. And it worked pretty well.
Yeah, you managed to you lost the lead for just a brief second, and then Mitchell made a bit of a mistake. You capitalized, took that back, and were able to hang on for the win. But then race 2, you start at that 10th spot, and right behind Mitchell, and he got up to the front a little faster than you did. But once you got up there, boy, between yourself and Mike and Mitchell, you guys had one heck of a battle in that second race.
I saw the time they were making through up there, and despite a couple that early spin that checked up a couple cars, so we had a little more work to do. But the the hardest decision I had to make was at the end of lap 2, coming into turn 7, and it speaks to the trust that we have with all the drivers in this series. I can't say that I would ever go the inside 3 wide again into turn 7 at Brands Hatch, but I had so much overspeed with them going side by side the turn before and me having a clear racing line. I couldn't not. I just had to try it, and we all survived, and there were a few more near misses through the race. Somehow I ended that with like 1x off track and about 6 0x's, so that speaks to the trust that everyone has for each other. Incredible racing.
Absolutely. We all were sitting here holding our breath when you went 3 wide there as well, but great to see everybody able to survive that one and keep them racing right up to the end. And you get a win in the first round all the way up to a second place. The second round is a fantastic points finish for you tonight. Probably something you really were looking forward to, and at a great track as well. So great racing tonight. Anybody you want to thank for the success tonight?
Just the marshals for the format. We know the first 2 rounds having to make a pit stop was my undoing. So no pit stops tonight. I'm good to go. So more of that. I'm ready.
We'll pass the word along for you. A vote for more of this. So good,
Thanks,
good
guys.
job tonight, John, and great to see you racing and winning a couple of rounds here. So we'll definitely see you in the next race.
Thanks, Larry. See you, Greg.
All right, there you go. That was John Allen, driver of the number 101 Defined AutoWorks entry, our winner in race 1, finishing second in race number 2. And now let's move over to our winner from race number 2, driving the number 93 Orion Racing entry. It's Mike Dam.
All right, joining us is our feature race winner. He didn't have the best first race, but was able to make some moves to get to the front. We got here Mike Dam. Mike, a great second race. Not as easy as you might have liked. I actually picked you as we were in between the 2 races. And keep an eye on this guy. Didn't expect you'd be everywhere from first to fifth to second to fifth to first, and a bit of jostling. So walk me through some of that second race.
Yeah. The first race was a little tough. I wasn't quite up to speed by the time qualifying came, so I just tried to make the most of it. And then, I felt I was in good position at the start of the second race. I felt I could get by if I had the chance most of the guys in front. I just had to keep the quick guys behind me. There was some fortunate, events that happened, and I took advantage of a couple of mistakes, and they seemed to work for me. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you seem to be the one who might have been the most patient in the middle part of that race with Mitchell and John Allen around you, making all kinds of moves. And I think maybe that patience paid off because you came to the end and we were expecting a side-by-side finish and all the chaos was behind you. Were you just saying, this is amazing? How did all this leave me with a lap and a half to go and no one pushing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it comes to a point where there's 4 or 5 laps left, and all of a sudden the field's stacked behind me. Mm-hmm. So either I'm going to pass the guy in front or I'm going to start getting passed like mad. So, it was kind of a decision there, and I was able to make a move stick, and then it was sort of induced this sort of chaos behind me, and that gave me a little bit of a gap. So that was nice for the end, for sure.
Yeah, and you can thank Brendan Horn for the nice little love tap that pushes you out of Graham Hill Bend. I don't know how loose the car got at that point, but he ended up off track and got back on. But those kind of moments, luckily, they don't all go away from you.
Yes, there were a few moments in that race where it could have easily ended really bad. So just a combination of unfortunate events, and just yeah, it was kind of we all finished the race and we're kind of like, wow, we all made it. It was a really tough one.
Yeah, it was an incredible race to watch, and this will be one of those you can go back and watch over and over again because it was really exciting to see you right in the middle of it and come out on top here in this the feature race tonight. So congratulations for the win, Mike. And who do you want to thank for tonight's performance?
Just all the guys at Orion Race Team, all the guys in this league. They're all good guys. They're all quick. They're really quick tonight for sure, man. And just Kevin and Jeff for putting this thing on. Frank at Ricmotech for sponsoring us, and you guys for broadcasting. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Congratulations again for the win, and looking forward to seeing you in the next round.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. That was the number 93 Orion Racing driver, Mike Dam, winner of round 4 tonight here from Brands Hatch on the Classic Sprint Series. So, Larry, as we get ready to wrap things up, and really 2 amazing races, some of the closest racing, especially right at the front of the field, that we've seen all season long. Great runs from all of our drivers. Wanted to talk quickly about another one of the Ricmotech series. Is going to be starting up next week. Season 3 is going to be starting up next week, and that is the Ricmotech World Challenge. I said a little earlier that it was for our LMP2, GT3, and GTE racers, but no GTE this year. So if you drive that LMP2 Dallara or any of the GT3 entries and you want to join in on the action, it's going to be a great season coming up. We're going to be going, as I mentioned, to CTMP, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, otherwise known as Mosport. Going to be going to Belle Isle at Detroit, home of the Detroit Grand Prix. We're going to be going to Suzuka, Road America, the Glen, VIR, Daytona, and finishing up the season in December at Sebring. If you want to join in on the action, of course, you can watch it every 3 weeks or so here on YouTube with Apex Racing TV. But you can join in and race as well. All you need to do to go to sign up, go to extrememotorsports99.com/world-challenge, and you can go and find out all about the series, look at the rule book, and go and submit an entry to start racing with us. Again, Season 3 kicks off next week.
And you can run your GT3 Lamborghini, and then you can run the Lamborghini fixed Lamborghini races as well in the alternating weeks. So
that's
dual use for your
absolutely car. Right. So we're going to talk about that now. Let's talk about the races that we have coming up here from the different Ricmotech series. Of course, the World Challenge, as we just mentioned, going to be August 9th. Then August 16th, 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to have the Classic Sprint Series returning. I mentioned it earlier. We're going to be going to Hockenheim, and that is, we're going to move away from our format from tonight. Much to John Allen's chagrin, we're going to be going to that 60-minute race, requiring a pit stop and maybe a little bit more work from him, but that is going to be a great race as our MX-5 drivers head off to Germany. And then August 23rd, the race that you just mentioned, in the series that you just mentioned, Larry, it's the brand new Season 1 Lambo Trophy Series, our fixed setup GT3 Lamborghini Series. We're going to be going for round 2 at Watkins Glen. We just had a great battle with these cars at Barber, and you don't want to miss it. So, again, make sure you can find out about all of the different Ricmotech series by going to extrememotorsports99.com. And, Larry, again, wonderful evening tonight. Thank you so much for everything.
It's a great night. I love this format, but I'm okay going back to the 60-minute with pit stops as well next time around. I think the mix is really what brings strengths out in everybody. Really looking forward to that, as well as our World Challenge and our Lamborghini Trophy Series. Ricmotech is a great run of races.
There you go. So for Larry McLeod, I'm Greg Ginsburg. I want to thank Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski back behind the scenes as well. And we will see you next Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Pardon me, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Wow, don't want you guys to show up for the last lap, but 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the Ricmotech World Challenge Round 1 from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. We'll see you then.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.